May 29th, 2024 was a big day. I had just finished work and sat down on my computer to work on a script. I was listening to music, I dimmed the lights, I didn't have Discord open because I wanted to focus, but my phone started buzzing. I tried to ignore it, but it just kept going, and eventually curiosity got the best of me. I picked it up and was greeted with a bunch of Discord notifications from some people I did know and some people I didn't. This is unusual. I don't use Discord that much, and I'm certainly not a big YouTuber, but everyone was telling me to check Virtual Carbon's Discord server. While I was looking at these notifications, one of my friends sent me the following messages. Everything after that was a whirlwind. The virtual world Discord was going crazy. I'm talking multiple messages a second and 200 people in the voice chat. There was one person playing a Moist Critical clip super loud in the background, but nobody knew who it was because there were so many people trying to talk at once. It was chaos, but one thing was clear. After 5 years of dead ends and non-stop pessimism, the Backrooms location had finally been found. After this, I spent 9 of the next 14 hours working on a video to tell you guys this story. And at the end of it, I told you all that this was still developing and there would likely be more information coming out over the next few weeks. And more has come out. In fact, we now have every original picture of the Backrooms building from that same batch of photos that now infamous image comes from. And it's not just 1 or 2 new pictures. No, there are 93 new photos to look at. Today, I'm going to get you guys up to date with everything that's happened since the Backrooms location was discovered. We're going to go over all these never-before-seen photos, which will allow us to take a tour of the entire building just as it was in 2002, when the original Backrooms image was taken. We're also going to have a chat with Bob Matza, the man who actually owns this building and personally took a lot of these photos. Bob unfortunately has to make a difficult decision about the Backrooms property and his family business that has occupied it for 20 years. But luckily, we might be able to help him out with it. Let's get into it. Just to review, the Backrooms location was found by these 4 people working together on the Virtual World Discord server. The discovery was made after an old Twitter post was found with the Backrooms pictures file name, dsc00161.jpg. The URL here was a dead link, but plugging it into the Internet Archive not only yielded the original Backrooms photo, but also another image of a different area in the same building. The website that hosted these pictures was for a business in Oshkosh, Wisconsin called Hobbytown, which is still around today, although the Backrooms space no longer exists. In fact, the page where the Backrooms photo was originally posted was dedicated to documenting Hobbytown's renovation process. They were gutting this strange-looking area on the second floor of their building to make way for an RC kart racing arena. And that begs the question, just what was this space? These strange walls obviously weren't put up for a hobby store. As you probably already know, the weird dilapidated area in the upstairs of Hobbytown that we now call the Backrooms was originally the remnants of a furniture store that used to occupy the same building. My contribution to this search was finding some of the first pictures of this furniture shop's interior by using newspapers.com, a search engine indexing local newspaper archives. While I may have found some of these initial photos, much more talented internet sleuths than me began digging into it. And for the last couple of months, they've been hard at work gathering as much information as they can. And they've found quite a lot. I'm talking the entire history of this building. In 1913, the building that would eventually house the Backrooms was opened for the first time. Its first occupants were a department store known as Baum and Callan. Sometime in the 1940s, they would rebrand as Hirschberg's, and a decade later, they would close up shop with the building seeking a new tenant. The space would remain vacant for 3 years, until early 1953 when Roner's Furniture would move into it. In 1977, Roner's would expand into the building next door. As part of this expansion, they remodeled the second floor of their original building, which is where the Backrooms is. This is probably when the Backrooms area with its yellow wallpapers and strange half-walls was created for the first time. In 1994, Roner's would sell the furniture part of their business, rebranding as Roner's Flooring. Shortly after, they would vacate the space, and in this article from 1995, we can see Tom Roner standing in the empty first floor of what was once his furniture store, directly below the Backrooms. Over the next few years, the building would be passed around a couple short-term tenants, but in 2002, the property would be purchased by Bob Matza, who intended to turn it into a Hobbytown store. After he bought the building, he started work gutting it to convert it into a hobby shop. And on June 12th that year, this now infamous photo was taken. And on March 2nd, 2003, Bob would post it on the internet for the first time, documenting the renovations to convert this long-dilapidated furniture showroom into an RC car racing arena. Yada yada yada, you know the rest. The Backrooms picture was passed around as a creepy image for many years on 4chan until 2019 when a user would add the creepypasta to it, which is when it exploded as a meme. People would eventually begin wondering where this strange picture originated from. Something, time is a flat circle. This brings us to today. For a couple of months, the only other picture we had of the backroom space was the second one that was found on Hobbytown's blog archive. Every other photo on this page unfortunately wasn't picked up by the Wayback Machine. But last week, Hobbytown's Facebook page shared a third image, and they even implied that there were more on the way. And that's when I noticed that I had received an email from Bob Matza. And long story short, we now have every photo from that camera that took the Backrooms picture, the complete set. We're about to go on a journey through the entirety of the Backrooms building just as it was when the notorious image was taken. We've just arrived at 807 Oregon Street in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the former location of Roner's Furniture. From the front, the building lacks any sort of branding. At this point, it's been vacant for a few months. Here's what the back of the building used to look like, but let's go in through the front entrance. Okay, this is what we see when we walk in. You can already see some of the eccentric design decisions left behind by previous tenants of the building, like the turquoise paint and the rose-colored carpet. And already, we can see some Backrooms-like features, like the wooden accents on the walls. The Backrooms itself, though, resides on the second floor, up this staircase to the left. We'll get to that in a little bit. If we walk towards the desk, we can see, well, the space behind the desk, which is empty but also a pretty good liminal space if you ask me. We're about to see many good liminal spaces. If we walk a little further behind here, we'll get to two offices. One that has deep green carpet and this awesome autumn photo wallpaper, and the other with deep red carpet and some pretty familiar looking off-white sort of yellowed wallpaper. I wonder where I've seen that before. In this office as well, there's unfortunately been some pretty bad water damage, which kinda reminds me of this old cursed photo from back in the day. If we go back out to the main area to look at it from a different angle, we can get a better idea of the 80s pastel color theme here. I'm also seeing what looks like a second staircase. Let me turn my head a bit. Yep, that's definitely a staircase. Let's see where it leads. Alright, we are in a mezzanine. It's not really a whole lot going on here, but it is pretty liminal. The angled drop ceiling is pretty weird. I've never actually seen this in a building before. The one thing to note here is that this carpet is the exact same carpet that's in the Backrooms. Alright, let's go back down. Sorry, I guess the lights went out? I think we might need to go to the basement to flip a breaker. Alright, we are in the basement of the Backrooms. Pretty standard basement for a commercial building, I'd say. We've got some electrical panels and stuff. Hang on, let me just flip this breaker. Hey, you know, maybe this breaker also powers the lights in the Backrooms, who knows? Yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on down here. Up the stairs there's also a warehouse area, but again, nothing really special here. I did notice this random door though. Where could this lead? Aha! The Backrooms toilet. Finally, this is what we were all waiting to see. We can now rest easy knowing that there are in fact restrooms in the Backrooms. Maybe it's even a skibbity toilet. Yes, maybe? Okay, I know you're not here to see a dirty toilet in a vacant building. You're here to see the Backrooms. Let's go up to the second floor. At the top of the stairs, on the right, we can see an empty room with some torn up carpet. Just past these walls at the far end lies the Backrooms. And to our left, we can see some familiar looking walls, each adorning different wallpapers. Let's walk through here and go to the next room. Okay, you might recognize this as the first alternate view of the Backrooms area discovered along with the location. This may be even more liminal than the Backrooms photo, and I know that's inspired countless renders made by fans. If we turn to the other side of the room, we'll see this. This is now the first alternate view of the Backrooms area. Specifically, we are looking towards the end of the Backrooms picture. This far wall is the back wall in the Backrooms photo. It's worth noting too that while the Backrooms image is discolored because of a faulty white balance, that doesn't seem to be the case with this photo. This picture shows what the walls and carpet most likely looked like in real life, being closer to off-white and brown respectively instead of yellow. Alright, let's walk back to the other end. This looks familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not exactly surprising, but the Backrooms photo is in this batch as well. I mean, this is where it originally came from after all. But I'll admit, every time it comes up while I'm looking at these, it catches me off guard. There's quite a few other photos here that show the gutted building slowly transforming into Hobbytown. And that's about it. That's every picture from the original batch of Backrooms photos. Now, there's one mystery that hasn't been solved by these pictures. Just what is a green step in the Backrooms photo? Well, I have a friend named Kaufman who makes Backrooms renders in Blender. You may have seen some of his videos on YouTube, or also in the intro and throughout this video. Every render I've used today comes from him. Kaufman is really good at what he does. I mean really good. Just check out this render he did of one of the new pictures. Can you even tell which one is real and which one was made on the computer? Now, Kaufman has been busy for quite a while trying to figure out the entire layout of the Backrooms building, but he wasn't able to get everything completely accurate just because there was so little information to work from. Well, now with these new pictures combined with the original blueprints of the building, which we also recently got our hands on, Kaufman has pretty much figured everything out, and he's able to show us all of the angles that weren't captured in these new photos, including the green step. This is actually just an entrance into the next building, which Roners had also occupied. You can sort of see what this area looked like by looking at the renovation pictures taken by Fabulous Finds, the business that occupies this building today. We can also see a snapshot of it in this 1977 newspaper ad. This green step is simply a height difference between the floors of the two buildings. At this point, we know pretty much everything we're going to know about the Backrooms location, except for the human side of it. We've gone over a bunch of dry facts about leases, renovations, newspaper ads, carpet colors, but behind all of those things are people. It gets easily lost in the sauce, but many people spent their entire working lives in this building. It's not just a creepy internet meme. Today we're going to talk to someone who not only has spent 20 years working in the Backrooms building, but also currently owns it. Let me introduce you all to Bob Matza.
Hello, I'm Bob Mazza. I am the guy who owns the building that is the place that the original pictures were taken of the Backrooms. I'm the proprietor of a hobby store. We've been around for over 30 years, and hopefully we can keep it going for another 30, I guess.
Can you tell me the story of how you ended up buying the old Roners building?
I actually was pretty good friends with the Roners family. I never imagined buying the building from them. You know, it was a huge old furniture store in the middle of town. I knew that the place went vacant when the father retired. They left the building sit for a while. A couple of tenants had moved in and out of it. And then it looked like it was just going to ruin. I had been starting to look because the location that my store was in was a Walmart center. It was an awesome location, but you know, we were paying a lot for rent because we were on the highway in a Walmart center. And I had ideas that if we weren't paying so much rent, we could maybe have more space for play. So here we are, old crappy building, talked to Tom about it, you know, the damages that it had at the time and what I wanted to do with it. And we came up with an agreement and ended up purchasing it.
Over the years, what would you say is your favorite memory from Hobbytown?
My favorite memories, and always will be my favorite memories, is of all of the racers and RC airplane clubs and even just customers that when I call out back in the day, like 20 years ago, so many people would come and help. And then, of course, with the help of Bill, I owned the building for at least a year before we moved into it. And so everybody knew we were trying to do this big move. After we got all the shelving moved over there and had to move the product and everything, we managed to move the store with only a day of closing. But there were probably 30 people involved in transferring everything.
Oh, geez, that's a big effort.
It was all volunteers and employees. So over the years, the amount of the friends and the smiling faces that you see coming through the doors, and you know, kids walk in the store and they're like just awesome and wow, and that's the kind of stuff that really keeps you going.
How did you come to learn about Hobbytown's connection to the Backrooms?
Well, oddly enough, I had no idea until a couple of months ago. Somebody called. We were in my wife's car. I had just gone through a knee replacement. We were coming home from something and got a phone call on her phone, and they asked if she knew Robert. Obviously, we had a couple of questions for the person before we hung up on him, but he just said that he had some questions about Hobbytown. And of course, I thought maybe it was just a bill collector or something that he called her instead of me or something. Strange, but you never know. That was the first connection.
Has like much changed since that discovery was made?
We see people coming in and they kind of wander around the store. You pretty much give everybody that walks in the door 5 minutes or so. And then usually we can tell these people apart because they're looking in bathrooms and closet doors. There's dozens and dozens of doors in the store. The one that goes to the back room happens to be where the dirt oval is. And so they'll poke their head out there. And then about that time, we'll ask them what their purpose is. And then somebody will take them upstairs and turn the lights on for them and show them where the actual room is that they're looking for. But they've been real cordial, and I think it's not bothering us. We're there 7 days a week, no matter what.
What are your plans for the future?
Well, my plans for the future is I venture to say I don't want to see what I consider a bit of a legacy that I built just close. Hobby shops in the industry are failing left and right. Internet's been eating us up forever. For me, it's a situation where I've been around for 30 plus years. I'm kind of hoping I can find the right person to take it over and then actually stick around and work there in my free time. The building is one of the things that makes the place what it is. There is a possibility that I could hang on to the building a bit longer or quite a bit longer. If we can get it fixed up, and then if I can find somebody to take over the business, it won't be as much of a burden on them owning the building and the business. I can tell you personally, it's a lot of work.
So our email correspondence started when you had this idea of a crowdfunding campaign to finance the repairs for the building. Could you tell me a bit about that?
We've since been in contact with a few other people that have gladly stepped in and helped me start to get this set up. The building needs a new roof. I put a new roof on it 20 years ago. The commercial building roofs typically last 20 years. And being a 100-year-old building, my fear is that if we don't do this, a good snowstorm or something in Wisconsin, that's just going to happen and it's going to cave in the roof. And at that point, it would be too expensive to bail out of it and fix it. And it'll become a parking lot. All of the people that have joined on hand and are online contact me about this. Their ideas are great. You know, we're talking about bringing in some fake walls that have some of that groovy wallpaper on it, and we have a source for some of the carpet that's still in the building that we can do a temporary display that people can use for photo opportunities. So the idea is all of this would kind of come together and help the store at the same time survive and keep our play area alive. You know, we're really not asking for anything but a couple of bucks. I think we have a lot of followers, we have a lot of fans, and I think that we can do this. If by chance we get this funded and we go ahead with everything, I have managed to locate and secure the original Sony CyberShot camera that took all the original pictures. And of course, we have some bits of wallpaper and carpet and stuff like that. We'll maybe make some certificates and do some sort of a free raffle to pass on to some of the fans. It's not a ton of incentive, but the reality of it is we just want to see this place stick around for a long time.
If you told me 3 months ago that we'd be talking to the guy who owns the Backrooms building, I'd probably laugh, yet here we are. I want to emphasize here just how cool Bob has been with this whole thing. He's not only gracefully accepted a ton of people into his store who just want to poke around to look at the literal backrooms of his shop, but he's been doing his best to embrace his store's newfound identity, going as far as to sell Backrooms products and even labeling his store the home of the original Backrooms entrance on flyers. I just want to remind you that it's totally possible that Backrooms could have ended up being a lawyer's office or something that we never would have even been allowed into. Guys, if you have some money to spare, even just a little bit, it would mean the world to Bob and his family. Family business is something that's definitely close to my heart. My dad runs a small business that I've worked for in the past, and also my aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends as well. Bob isn't doing this to make money, he just wants to keep his family business alive for the next generation. Before I finish this off, I want to give a huge thanks to Kaufman, who let me use his awesome renders for this video, and also Ella Jameson, better known online as Nymaid, who's put a ton of work in behind the scenes not just to help Bob set up this crowdfunding campaign, but also to help me organize a lot of the information in this video. You can find both of their channels linked below. I want to end this video by reading you a letter that Bob's associate wrote to him in 2004, as Hobbytown was about to open for the first time after 2 years of renovations.
Robert, this collection of pictures is not inclusive of all the phases in the construction of the New Revolution Raceway in Hobbytown of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. It is, for the most part, A summary of the project from its beginning on the first walkthrough to the stage where it is today, May 22nd, 2004. A year has passed and more, and hundreds of people have given their time to this endeavor. Those who have volunteered their time and efforts have done so with the belief that this project will create more of what we enjoy today. A place for friends to gather and enjoy the sport of remote control and slot car racing. Robert, most of these pictures were taken by me, not as part of a job, but done so to document for you the progress and changes for you to remember them. As you know, your part was not just the outlay of money, but of considerable time from you and from your family. That dedication to the hobby should not be overlooked. Hopefully, this becomes something to profit from, not only in monetary terms, but that of children learning to be competitive, learning to think on their own, and to master their goals. For the older crowd, it is a profit of friendships that have grown and will flourish in the years to come. Thank you for your effort in creating this dream for those who share it. On behalf of our fellow racers and patrons, we all thank you from our hearts. Hopefully, you view these pictures in a few months, and then in a few years, and look back and confirm it is the house built by many, and smile that your friends did this for you and ourselves to share with the next generation. Thanks alone do not quite do it justice, but we, and I especially, really mean it.